Welcome to Things You May or May Not Believe Abusers Have Said, aka the Can't Be Broken podcast, where we are shining light on the darkness that is domestic violence and abuse. I am your favorite confidence pusher, M Boogie, in this thing, and we are here to do three simple things: educate anyone who has never been in an abusive ship, empower everyone who has survived abusive ships, and encourage anyone who is still currently in the abusive ship. So, keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times. We are about to get started, and it's probably going to be a bumpy ride. Today it's just me, y'all. How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? I wanted to come on because, let me be honest, I haven't had an opportunity to interview anyone. School has started back, and being in education, the 2 weeks before school starts back are bananas. The week the school starts back, bananas. The week after school starts back, bananas. I have several people who are excited and ready to be on the podcast, but our schedules did not align in the time that they needed to. So hopefully we will have a new guest on next week. But tonight or today, whatever time you are watching this, I just wanted to share something with you, an article that I came across, so that we can talk about how serious it is, how family court is so focused on keeping the family together that they often overlook the damage and the danger that is welcomed, opened up, that is becomes exposed when the focus is on keeping the family together and the focus isn't on actually protecting the child. We get so caught up, not we, because we know better, right? They get so caught up in making sure that parental rights are important, making sure that parental rights are equally distributed, that we lose a lot of people in the process. We lose children in the process. We lose women in the process. And I'm sure we lose men in the process too. One thing that they can't seem to wrap their mind around is that when there isn't a domestic violence abusive ship, the other parent, the abuser, why would they get any kind of custody of the kids? Why can't they wrap their mind around the fact that if the abuser is abusing and willing and able and repeatedly abusing the other parent, how are they not automatically deemed a danger to the child? So I came across this article, and here's the title. I don't even know if I want to read the title to you yet. January 2020, a child lost his life in the presence of his father. A mother in New York had reached out of Suffolk County, and she decided to charge Suffolk County, claiming that their child protective services failed to protect Tommy, her young son, after she made repeated claims of abuse. Online court records stated that the civil case was scheduled to go to trial in September. The civil suit was filed before the father of Tommy, Michael Valva, and his then fiancee, Angela Polina, were both found guilty of second-degree murder in connection to Tommy's death. Both are currently serving 25 years to life. I guess, first of all, clap it up for the justice system working, and the fact that their negligence or direct abuse caused them. And dang, y'all, because they said, hold on. This is so serious, but y'all know how I am. You know me. Let me go back. His then fiance. So they ain't, because did they break up because they both went to jail? Like, y'all gotta be mindful. And I can't even speak because I was the person who was on the other side of an abusive ship and didn't quite see the flags or the signs or deem that something that he was doing was actually abuse. I didn't know all the details, but when you ask the right questions, you'll get the answer that you need, or they won't answer, and that's all the answer you need. But they ain't engaged no more. I guess you can't get married since y'all both in prison. So back to the top of the story. I want to read this to you. The mother of a New York boy who died at the hands of his father and his fiance has indicated that she would accept a settlement over a civil trial. Justina Justina Zupko Valva, the mother of 8-year-old Tommy Valva, who froze to death in January 2020 after being forced to sleep in his father's garage in New York City in January. His dad forced him, the 8-year-old son, to sleep in the garage in New York City in January. She appeared to be willing to settle her wrongful death claim against Suffolk County for $9 million. Zupko Valva originally sued the county for $200 million, claiming that the county child protective services failed to protect Tommy after she made repeated claims of abuse. The civil suit was filed before Michael Valva, Tommy's father, and his then fiance were both found guilty of second-degree murder in connection to his death. As Law and Crime previously reported, Zuboka Valva, Justina, we'll call her Justina, original lawsuit claimed that Child Protective Services and the school that all three of her sons attended ignored her repeated claims of abuse by his father, Michael Valva. And his then fiance to the agency. Instead, CPS started investigating her for abuse after Michael, the father, claimed that she was hitting the children and poisoning them with toxic brown medicine. Newsday reported that all of the claims made against Justina were unsubstantiated. In a 75-page letter she wrote to then U.S. Attorney General William Barr in July 2019, she even foreshadowed her son's death, writing that Michael and his fiance, end quote, commit the most horrifying and inhumane form of child abuse, end quote, against her sons and lock them in freezing cold garages in the wintertime. She wrote a letter to the DA letting him know, even though she's said all the time, he's abusive. Clearly, they're not together because he's abusive. But because the court said that he deserves parental rights, and how is he going to be abusive to the children when you haven't proven that he's abusive to the children? You've only proven that he's abusive to you. Oh my gosh, I can't imagine the heartache. Tommy and his brother Anthony, who both had autism, were punished on the night of January 17th, 2020, by Michael and his fiance, who hosed the boys down with water. The middle of January in New York, hosed them down with water before forcing them to sleep in the unheated garage as the outdoor temperature dropped below 20 degrees. Tommy froze to death during the night. Oh my gosh. I haven't even read this whole article. I just saw the heading. I peeped over a couple of lines. I was like, that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about how CPS often fails to protect children because they're so focused on keeping the family together and parental rights. U.S. District Judge Edward R. Corman wrote in a 2022 court filing allowing Justina's lawsuit to move forward, forcing Tommy and his brother Anthony to sleep in sub-freezing temperatures on a cold cement slab in the garage was so common in Michael and his fiance's household that they referred to the garage as the kids' room. CPS later dismissed the claims that Justina against Justina after she presented evidence to the contrary, including transcripts of the father brainwashing the children to repeat phrases like, I don't love mommy, mommy is mean, and I don't want to stay with mommy. How is it that there is not a psychoanalyst in the courtroom during domestic disputes and child custody? How is it that you can't comprehend, like, if I shoot a gun in the house with a kid, I go to jail. Even if I'm not pointing the gun at the child, if I fire off a weapon, I'm going to jail because that's child endangerment. But you're telling me a man can put his fist in his wife's face in the presence of his kids or in the same house while his kids are in there, and that's not child endangerment. Abusers are manipulative by nature. They manipulate the people they abuse. They manipulate the police who come arrest them. They manipulate the attorneys who defend them. They manipulate the judge who is in the courtroom, the prosecutor, everybody, anybody who is involved in the case, they manipulate them. You know how I know? Because when I was foolishly still showing up for marital counseling, I could talk to the counselor on my individual session, or I could be on this call with them and hear him trying to manipulate. Because I had gotten to a place where I was able to cut off communication, which is very, very important if you're being abused. The first thing you need to do after you leave is cut off communication. There should be no access to you, because the reason that they were able to abuse you in the first place is because they had brainwashed you. They had manipulated you. They took advantage of you, and they fed on whatever insecurities that you had. And because I had taken time to step back and allow myself no contact, I was able to slowly start recognizing when I did hear his voice, when I did hear him talking, oh man, he's slick. He think he good. He tried to do it to our counselor. But the courts don't see it like that, do they? They don't think that an abuser is manipulative. So he brainwashed the kids to say these things. Despite the lack of evidence, Corman wrote, CPS repeatedly ignored a desperate mother's plea for help despite having significant evidence of Mr. Valva and his fiance's abuse, and then pursued a neglect petition against Justina, the mother, to cover up for and distract from their failures. According to the court filing, Tommy's teacher eventually alerted Child Protective Services that the boys appeared to have lost a noticeable amount of weight while in their father's custody and looked emaciated. The teacher? So bump the fact that you don't want to listen to the mom anymore, but the teacher has now shown up knowing that these kids are living with their father and saying that these boys look emaciated. Tommy's teacher told CPS that she saw him eat crumbs off the floor and out of the garbage can and came to school in a wet pull-up. He's 8 and autistic. He's autistic. Okay. CPS closed its investigation into the boys on January 8th, 2020, 10 days before Tommy died. And they were arrested. People want to know why you don't try to go get help. Because why am I spending so much time and energy trying to convince you of something that I know is true, and my son's gonna die anyways? Like Justina is doing, the teacher is non-partisan, like whatever that word is, non-biased. And she comes up and they close the investigation. Okay. This is just so angering. Justina reportedly disagreed with her attorneys and did not comply with the court's instructions when offered a $9 million settlement. She was going for $200 million because her child died, because CPS ignored all of the signs, all of the proof, and closed the case. So they wanted to offer her a settlement for $9 million. Now it appears she has had a change of heart as she faces a foreclosure on her home. So now she's trying to go back and get this $9 million. Her current attorney wrote in a court filing that the parties have come to an agreement on a general release stipulation of discontinuance and proposed order regarding that $9 million settlement amount. According to the filing, which was reviewed by Law and Crime, 7.42 million would come from Suffolk County and 1.3 million would come from the legal aid of Suffolk County, with the remaining amount to be paid by a local school district and area attorney. Why, first of all, why is a school district paying? U.S. District Judge Brian M. Cogan, who took the case over from Corman in February, has yet to rule on the motion. The federal docket did not immediately indicate an upcoming hearing date. Y'all, the amount of tragedy Justina is living through. She left because her husband was abusive, but because the court thinks it's so important that abusive parents deserve equal parental rights, they gave this man custody. He then goes and not only neglects the kids and abuses the kids, he not only brainwashes the kids, but he also tells them, you need to look at the mom because she's poisoning them. So they open an investigation on the mother who's trying to fight for the lives of her sons, who are in the custody of the abusive father, who she has sent letters about and tried to warn them, who then is talked about by a teacher who has nothing to do with this abusive shit. And they close the case, and 10 days later, her son dies. So not only is she drugged down by the children's father and abused by them, she's then abused by Child Protective Services and the courts who let these kids go stay with their father. And now she's suffering the premature loss of her son because no one would listen. Y'all be acting like people just don't talk like it's their. Y'all blame the victim like it's their fault for the abuse. Then you talk bad about them because they don't show up and try to advocate for themselves. Do you know how exhausting it is to advocate for yourself when you know you're being done wrong and you know your kid is in danger and nobody's listening? Nobody. This is proof right here that when you got money, the only reason this man is in jail is because Tommy died. He would have got away with the abuse because he's got the money. How is them showing up emaciated, eating crumbs out of garbage can and off the floor not evident enough that they're not being taken care of by their father? How is that not enough proof? Like, do we have a black and white letter numbered document that says this is the type of proof you have to have in order for us to believe that the abusive partner is also an abusive parent? What do you have to like what proof did she need? She wrote a letter saying that my children are being forced to sleep in the basement to the DA. So many people say, "Oh, but there are so many shelters available," but they're not. There are not so many shelters available. We know they exist, but I've been on conversations with women who have been in shelters to get away from the abuser, and the abuser sits and waits outside the shelter. So they can't go get a job. They can't go to work because when they leave out the door, they're no longer safe. Literally sitting outside. When are we going to hold the people responsible, accountable for their actions? So to all my brothers and sisters out there, if you are still currently in an abusive ship, listen, you got to get up out that thing. It's not going to be easy, but you have to plan a safe route of escape. You have to find somebody you can send the proof to, because it's not what you know, it's not what you experience, it's literally what can you prove when it comes down to court. And let's not even get into the conversation about how the fact that when I go to court, I'm still freshly in or out of this abuse, which means I haven't had time to mentally, emotionally, psychologically heal from whatever is happening. So when I get there, I'm automatically on high alert. I automatically have high anxiety because I'm in the same room as the person who's abusing me. And then you're going to sit here and question everything that comes out of my mouth and dare me to not say anything. Please plan an escape. Yeah, there are so many Facebook groups. There are so many Facebook friends. I know it's embarrassing. I know it's shameful to have to go to somebody and be like, yo, I'm in an abusive ship. The person that I love and I thought loved me has been abusing me. I get it. But your life is so much more valuable than their unhealed trauma. And your voice does matter. So while you're there, plan a safety escape route and start documenting everything. What they said, what they did, what time it was, how it made you feel, if they physically assaulted you, where was it, take pictures and send it to somebody safe on the internet. Like if you got to create a YouTube channel and upload it on YouTube and set everything to unlisted, that way you can delete it out of your phone, but it's going to stay there. And then just say, hey, I need you to have access to, so give somebody else the password to your YouTube channel so that all of that evidence is going to stay available. So when the time comes, you got all the proof. It's unfortunate, but this is the world we live in. That a mother has to beg child protective services to protect her child and they fail, don't take responsibility for it when they have proof. What more is she supposed to do? Y'all, I'm sick of these folk. The bull jive, the shenanigans, the harpos, I'm sick of. But we got to talk about it because it's been going on for so long and it's not being talked about. So that's all I got. I don't even remember how I be ending these episodes because I'm so upset. Anyways, keep showing up, keep sharing love, keep shining your lights. In the meantime, in between time, we are gone. Pew, 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 pew. Confetti, confetti. This is sad confetti, ain't it? Confetti, 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 confetti. Because Tommy should still be alive. He should still be alive.